What does Kemet, Sudan, and Ethiopia have in common? These are all names that refer to Black people. Black people. Not just African people, but Black people in Africa. But these are not names and terms of recent creation, as has been suggested by some of my brothers and sisters as we discussed and debated whether or not we should refer to ourselves as Black, whether Ethiopians are Black, whether people from Eritrea are Black. Some have said that this is something that white people came up with to justify the Atlantic slave trade, to justify colonizing the different countries and the different people of Africa. Well, certainly there have been people of ill will from Europe who did in fact use the concept of the notion of race to justify the mistreatment and the exploitation of African people. But the narrow statement that the term Black was first used for that purpose is historically incorrect. And I want to deal with that. KMT is a term that was used by the people that we refer to as Egyptians. When Champollion, who interpreted the Rosetta Stone in 1822, when he looked at it, he determined that those people referred to themselves as Kemet, which means the land of the Blacks. And they used a name, and I'll spell it out, Kamui, Kamui, I think, or Kamui, to say the Blacks. So they refer to their land as the land of the Blacks, and they refer to themselves as the Blacks. And I can tell you that they didn't use that term in a pejorative sense. They didn't use that term to self-hate, to demean themselves. They used it with pride. They had Black pride. They wanted everyone to know that Kemet was the land of the Blacks. And then we look at the term Sudan, the nation Sudan. We need to know the origins of that name, that it actually means the Black land. It's an Arabic term that was used by traders in medieval times to refer to the people of what we now know today as modern Sudan and South Sudan, the Black land. And then we go to Ethiopia, which we know today as Ethiopia. But what we need to understand is that term was first used not as a pejorative, but as a description going back to 800 BC. The first writer to use the term Ethiopia, and it was spelled as we spell Ethiopia today, but put an A on the front. So what did it mean? Well, it meant two things. Ethiopiaps was a combination of two words. Ethio, which meant I burn, and ops meant face. So you put them together, it's burnt face. So then Ethiopia meant the land of the burnt face people. So now let's do them all together. We got Kemet, which means the Black land. We got Sudan, which means the land of Blacks. And then we have Ethiopia, which means the land of the burnt-faced people. It is clearly a reference to skin color, but not in a disrespectful, demeaning way, okay? It's a descriptive. Certainly, again, we cannot deny that the Europeans have used it and abused it, but when it was first used, it was a term of Black power and it was a term of Black pride. It was not a pejorative. So to say then that they didn't see color, that they didn't refer to themselves as Black, that Black in and of itself is demeaning, no, I can't go there. But I certainly, as always, would like to know what you think. This is Black History Month. We're celebrating Black history. We're continuing to discuss Black history at a level perhaps that we haven't discussed it in a while, that we need to discuss it. Because one of the things that I sense and I discern in the conversation is that there's a lot of people who are saying, I want to be anything but Black. And they're trying to mask that in a sense of pride about something else. You can celebrate your nationality. You can celebrate your ethnic distinction in your tribe. Those things are not mutually exclusive of each other. That's what I want to say to my brothers and sisters. You can celebrate it all. You can be Black, you can be Ethiopian, you can be Eritrean, you can be Christian, you can be Muslim, You can be a husband, you can be a wife, you can be a Christian, you can be whatever. And those things are not necessarily exclusive of one another. But let's get it straight. They've been calling people of African descent black for thousands of years. It's not something of new invention. And back then, unlike today, back then, it was a matter of black pride. So, as I go forward in my conversation and my contemplation in Black History Month, I'll say this. Happy Black History Month, coming from a black man who's also a man of African descent, who's also a man of Igbo descent and Yoruba descent, who's also a pastor, who's also a lawyer, who's also a Christian, a father and a husband. I'm many things, and so are you at once. And most of those things are not in tension with each other. Let's celebrate life, and let's celebrate blackness, because it's not evil, inherently evil, to refer to someone or demeaning. We can make it that, and certainly, no doubt, some white people have made it that way, certainly the slave traders and certainly the colonizers. But when it was first used, it was a thing of pride and it was a thing of power. Let's recapture it.